You ready? Wes, ready? Wes, you ready? All right. Meeting is called to order. It's July 14th, 2020, 5:01 p.m. I'm sorry, I didn't think about it. Invocation, please. Mr. Billy, you want to do the invocation? Please.
Pray for the wisdom to be able to conduct our school year this safe and it's so that our children will be able to get an education. Lord, we just ask you to help them take care of that.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all. Roll call, everyone is here. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make that motion.
Motion made, second. Any discussion, question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Need a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion or question? Excuse me. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We received policies. Policies, y'all, are on your desk, they're highlighted in yellow. And the superintendent recommends they be received and approved. I'm gonna need a request to approve policy, file travel expenses for personnel. We received that on July 2nd. I hear a motion to approve it.
Make a motion.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Any discussion or question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Need a request to approve policy file vacation leave. We also received that July 2nd. Your motion.
I make that motion.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Request to approve policy school bus driver assessment form, which we also received July 2nd. Your motion.
So moved.
Second made. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We received a student file policy for revision. That's the one, it's criteria for valedictorian school.
We'll have that for a month, and I think we'll have that back on the August agenda for approval.
So, approval of contracted services. Request to approve the following for the 2021 school year to provide security for any school or sporting event in Bibb County High School. Payment of $22.50 per hour to be made from local school funds. Rodney Smith, Henry David Jones Jr., Michael Shirley, Jim Gray, Chris Heritage, Henry Leo Michael. Your motion.
Make a motion.
Motion made, second. Second, Ms. Delaney, any discussion or question?
Where is this released?
These
Yeah, I think they're all.
are, for the ones I recognize, are all local law enforcement officers.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request to approve payment to Bethany Fields for working and supervising the West Boston High School Color Guard and Band for summer camp on August 3rd through 7th. Payment of $100 per day to be made from WBHS and local school funds. Your motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion or question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request to approve payment to Katie Wallace for working with and supervising the West Boston High School Majorette and band during summer band camp, August 3 through 7. payment of $100 per day to be made from WBHS for local school funds. Your motion.
Make it.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Personnel. Do I hear? Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Executive session.
Yes, what I was going to do.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion.
Motion made, second. Second, Mr. Moody. All in favor? Any discussion first? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? How long?
15 minutes.
Okay. Thank y'all. Here, motion to approve. Second,
Second.
discussion question. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request to approve the resignation of Philip Clark, sixth grade science teacher, West Boston Middle. Your motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bennett. Any discussion question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request approval to hire Holly Tillman, contract principal, at Randolph Elementary School, effective July 15, 2020. Your motion.
Make a
Motion made, second.
Second.
Second is Elaine. Discussion question. Darn good one. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And Louise, thank you for all you've done for Randolph.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it very much. I'm excited.
Well, you've been phenomenal. And I know the Randolph, alumni, what's left of them,
You're right.
love you and the
I'll miss
community
it.
does, and that's such a strong bond there, and you would continue that legacy. And
Thank
we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. I appreciate all of y'all.
You bet. Request to approve the employment of Tina Brown, District Sign Language Interpreter, effective 2021 school year. Your motion.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Request to approve the employment of Deborah Graff, Language Arts Teacher, Central Middle, effective 2021 school year. Your motion.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Request to approve the employment of Osiris Amador, sixth grade math teacher, West Boston Middle, effective 2021 school year. Your motion.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, question? Excuse me, y'all. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Request to approve Jacqueline McMurray, bus driver, effective this 2021 school year. Your motion.
Make a motion.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request to approve Stacy Chester, bus driver, effective 2021 school year. Your motion.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request to approve Ronald Leonard, bus driver, effective 2021 school year. Your motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request to approve Keisha Austin, bus driver, effective 2021 school year.
Make a motion.
Motion made, second. Second, Ms. Delane, any discussion, questions? Motion made, second. Second, Ms. Delane, made. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
One question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have everybody at this point? Mr. McGee, do you know?
Mr. Lowry, we got all the bus drivers we need right now.
Right now we do, yes, sir. Today we do.
Superintendent, based on the recommendation of local school principals, made the following reassignment. West Walton Middle, Ashley Eaton, sixth grade math and sixth grade language arts. Next board meeting, Tuesday, July 28th, 5 p.m. Everybody good for that? Superintendent remarks.
Thank you, board members, and I want to say thank you again for coming in a couple of weeks ago on the call meeting to shorten this meeting out a little bit. We do have a webinar, Alabama Association of School Board webinar tomorrow at 12 o'clock if you're interested. It's, the title of it's quite interesting, 2020 reopening amid the COVID-19 personnel facts. And that's again tomorrow here from 12 to 1. That will be, I guess, in the boardroom. We'll have that available if you want to come and participate in that. Ms. Hudson, will they get, if they do attend, do they get any credit?
I think we get a credit hour.
An hour credit hour, so, that's coming up. I have, left all of you a copy of our draft of the ongoing plan for reopening of schools. It's been, just a little over, I guess, 3 weeks, no, almost 3 weeks since we received the State Department of Education's roadmap for reopening, and we discussed that a little bit at our July 2nd meeting. We have been communicating with many other superintendents on their plans, and we've actually had Zoom meetings and in-person meetings with multiple superintendents to discuss things like CNP and transportation, safety and cleanings, everything associated with school and open. Our plan and hope would be within the next, hopefully within the next 3 to 5 days to make this plan available to our public, our parents. It'll be going out, several principals have received it this afternoon, and we shared with other principals and administrators that haven't been working on it. And if you have any comments, please feel free to call or email me as you work through it. It may be a little longer than anticipated. I have seen these plans from other districts anywhere from 2 pages to 40 pages. This document is a collection of actually slides from a Google Slide program that addresses a lot of the questions about school reopening as far as our traditional plan, virtual school option, and in the event that schools are closed, and we fully anticipate that that's a possibility, that we may have to close one or a cluster of schools, not the entire district. If that happens, our transition from traditional school to remote learning for those students who've chosen traditional education also goes into some detail about the virtual option. It's very important for parents to understand. The virtual option is not exactly like what some of them experienced back in the spring. True virtual school is, the parent is very responsible for the progression and daily progress of the students in that program. So it's all laid out there in explanation. I will say that every student that chooses the virtual option is our student. They're enrolled in the Bibb County school system. They will have the availability to participate in extracurricular activities, but if they're a virtual student, it's because their parents have chosen to have them learn at home through course content delivered through schools PLP, Edminum, or the Access platforms. Anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to call me or email me if you want to talk about anything you see there. It is a draft. It can be changed prior to its official public release. And if you read the last page, you'll see a big disclaimer that says in the event that the State Department of Public Health, the governor, the local health board, or any other local entities can make mandates that would change any of it. So it's really a living, breathing document at this point. Mr. Oakley, that's all I have at this time.
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir. Any questions?
It may be in here, I scanned it, but I didn't read it thoroughly.
Yes, sir.
But, for instance, if a teacher or staff member comes down, test positive, what do you think, does the state recommend a policy? Have you seen on how to deal with it? I know.
We've asked that question repeatedly. If your question is, does the whole class have to quarantine? You know, if a
whole
student or
class.
a teacher.
Everybody in the class.
We haven't got that. I know that, some school systems have gone ahead and made that decision that if there's a positive test, everyone has to, you know, in that classroom has to quarantine. And that may be what we do, but we've yet to receive those kinds of answers from health professionals that can make that determination.
So undoubtedly, I know within reason, the teachers will have to stay at home. Right?
But now, anybody that tests positive is going to be
Okay.
expected to quarantine
All right, so
for 14 days.
this question comes to mind. Are they gonna be paid? Do they have to take sick leave?
Okay, that there is a provision, and Mr. Haygood will correct me if I'm wrong on this, if he's still here. The federal government passed something called the Families First COVID-19 Response Act, FFCRA, which does provide up to 10 days of emergency paid leave for any employee. So if an employee tests positive and has to quarantine, or if a spouse tests positive and they have to quarantine, they're provided up to 10 days of emergency paid leave. Now, they don't have to take that. If they would rather take their own personal sick leave or personal leave, they can do that.
Why would they?
I don't, well, they might want to save those days for later on in the semester, because it's certainly possible that, an employee could test positive, quarantine for 14 days, and then in October, November, a spouse may test positive. Now, I don't know if they would have to quarantine, if they'd have antibodies. Those are questions we don't know the answer to. But there may be cases where an employee may decide, okay, I'm going to use 5 sick days and 5 emergency leave days. I'm going to save my other 5 emergency leave days for later in the semester in case I've got a child care issue.
There's one thing with that, the law does not allow you to intermittently use that. You either use it or you don't get it. It's one or the other.
Right.
So
So,
they would have to use the 10 days that's available to them and worry about their sick leave later. That webinar tomorrow is probably going to cover exactly what you're talking about. They're talking about personnel frequently asked questions. They've already put a document out on it. I've been going through it, and I'm going to have some guidance for our principals at our next meeting to kind of work them through this with their employees, because I mean, we're going to have it. It's going to happen, and we're going to have to address it. And there needs to be, we need guidelines in our system, you know, to help the employee through it. So that's what I'm working on now, is trying to come up with some guidance for the principals and the employees when this does happen. One of the things I heard today, as far as the quarantine, we have the authority to isolate somebody until they hear from the state, but we can't really tell them to go quarantine. That was from the state nurse. I listened to the work session for the State Department today. They still got a lot of questions too. So,
but to answer your question, there is no employee, if they have to quarantine, should have to have unpaid days initially, because every employee is eligible for 10 emergency paid leave days under the FFCRA, which was passed back in March, I believe. It was part of the whole CARES Act and
It was.
everything.
And it's also, there's another part of it that allows them to request up to 10 weeks of emergency leave under the FMLA. FMLA is usually not paid.
I'm sorry, but I can't hear it that well.
So there's another segment of it that allows an employee up to 10 more weeks if they apply and it's, get it certified that they qualify for it,
Good.
where we would have to pay that employee for that 10 weeks as well. Because some people are not getting through this in 2 weeks. That's an emergency, that's the emergency FMLA leave that they approved for this act.
So bottom line, they don't have to use their own sick leave day.
Not for
Use them up
quarantine.
on
Not for
occasion
quarantine.
incurred
If it's,
on the job.
Now-
No fault of
now,
their own.
if it's an accident, a broken leg or a broken foot, then they would have to use
I know it. Hey, I know of a teacher.
their own, but if it's coronavirus related.
Yeah.
Then they are provided 10 paid sick days to quarantine if they test positive or other reasons have to quarantine due to coronavirus.
Not to prolong this, I understand, and that's well and good. But you brought up an interesting point. I know in my career of 2 cases, one, a football coach on the job, coaching, player runs into him, tears his knee up, he ends up missing several weeks of school, using up his sick leave. On the job injury. Another one, a kid running down the hall, the teacher gets hit, knocked down, and she's injured and spends several weeks. Again, her sick leave day. So, her sick leave days are used up. So, I know it's not a question for us to be answered now, but some thought really probably needs to be given to it. Probably have to come from the state legislature, but that's no fault of their own. They're on the job and they get injured severely. And they have to use their sick leave. And what if the sick leave days run out? So, that's another question, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I can give you an answer to what my experience with that is. Local boards can grant those days back if they feel like it's something they want to do.
There is a on-the-job injury, report that can be filed that can take care of that so that they don't have to actually use their sick days.
Undoubtedly, that wasn't the case way back when.
The board would cover the cost of their substitute
Right.
teacher so that it wouldn't have to come out of their sick leave account, but, we do have a policy.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Any other
Thank you.
questions, board members regarding, our plan, our reopening plan, or any other questions, regarding that? Again, if you have any, read over it, give me a call, shoot me an email, text, and, be glad to go over any questions or clarifications you may have. Because as I said, it says on the document in big red letters, this is a draft document. For the time being, it's confidential, it's not to be shared with the public, but, just within a few days, we hope to remove that and be able to share it with our parents, because they're waiting all over the state, I think as of the weekend, there are only 30 of 138 systems that had shared their plan and had it finished. So I think you'll start seeing a whole lot of counties and cities releasing their plans this week into next week. But if you have a question, please call or email or text. I'd be glad to talk with you about it. Mr. Oakley, that's all I have.
Anybody else? Once again, thank y'all for coming. Chuck Martin, thank you, sir. Good luck. August 4th, I believe, is the date. Be thinking about it. Hear a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second. Any discussion or question? Any opposition? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank y'all.